Salute, salute. Hey, everybody. Sorry for my my tardiness. I see you, bad guy. Ain't nobody as bad as KB. Okay, KB just I think he picks times with his eyes closed sometimes. Okay, so come on in, y'all. Come on in. I ain't lying. Is T Smith in here? Are you still in the room? Welcome to everybody. Welcome to the bad guy. Welcome to Jaga. Thank you for coming in. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Deborah, salute to you. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. And the bad guy, yes, I need your sense of humor because I'm having a little bit of I had some technical difficulties, which is why I was running a little bit late. So y'all pray for me during the stream, okay? And so, yes, listen. I know I'm gonna start doing some funnies when it comes to or incorporating some funny lives when it comes to kind of mixing it up a little bit. However, this one is definitely worth it needs to be said. It needs to be expounded on. It needs to be a topic of conversation because right now it's easy to be easily distracted, but we got some serious stuff going on in this country. So, as you come on in, if you haven't already, just tap the like button. For those that are going to catch the replay, please just do me that solid. You come on in, you tap the like button, share the stream to at least two people that you deem would well receive this information. So, we're talking about infighting and how the state of Texas and the government and the Biden administration are going at it right now. And we're going to cover some topics and some points, talking points that is going to give different perspectives. But you know what? All of them are going to be, in my opinion, relevant, right? Um, so hold on one second. Let me just first things first and get some things in order before I really get into my mode here. Put a one in the chat if everybody can hear me well. If you can hear me clearly, there's no echo. Put a one in the chat. Thank y'all for coming on in. Welcome, Lou Jenkins. Yes, you did. You caught alive. Respect to you as well. Thank you for joining us. Kim R, appreciate you coming in. Hi, Selena. Yes, thank you for coming in and gracing us with your presence. Peace and blessings to everybody. Douglas, appreciate you. Okay, so I'm getting ones. Everybody can hear me really well. Wonderful. Wayne with the braids. Hallelujah. Thank you for coming on in. We got Wayne with the bald head and Wayne with the braids. That's what's up. Okay, Jenny Velez. Yes, thank you for coming on in. Sis is in the house, Miss Collins. I can't wait till Bolo get to 1,000. It's coming and it's gonna come right on time, but I'm anticipating because I want to see and hear you on a panel, sis. Yes, King Rain. Thank you. Listening from the bushes. Well, thank you for letting me know that you're here and letting us know that you are with us and as far as your presence. So appreciate you. Okay, all right, Ms. Earth Day. Well, thank you for coming over. I know he's still live. I got to get in where I fit in. Bolo go, he'll be live 23 out of 24 hours in the day. So sometimes we gonna cross paths and our lives are gonna overlap, but the love is all there and we're still here to support one another. So thank you so much. Thank you, Bolo. Because I'm sure you're gonna catch the replay or parts of it. So thank you for everything. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for just encouraging everybody and being so supportive. And I don't understand, how people can just go after people that are looking out for everybody else. So, but you know what? The good will prevail in the end. And that's where we at. So welcome, Ricky Clay. Thank you for coming on in. And we got Kim R. She says, I'm in Houston, Texas. Allegedly, there is a community providing housing for illegals north of Houston but so many homeless around the city. Man, from what I'm understanding, Miss Kimar, there's a lot going on. And I just want to say salute to your governor, because he's setting a precedence. And I know that can't be easy going against, the administration and the president of the country. And you know how aggressive and how demanding they can get, and he is standing his ground. So I salute him for that. And we're going to get off all into that, and I'm just going to provide some really pertinent, what I feel is pertinent information for us to know. No matter where you're living, you're going to feel the effects, you're going to see the effects, and the outcome is going to trickle down to everybody, inadvertently or advertently, no matter where you are, right? Whoopi Rock is in the house. Okay, Whoopi. So hold on a second. I found out how to do it. Give me just a second. Um, I'm going, now that I done figured out. Well, Bolo taught me how to do it, but I smooth forgot. There's so many components to this streaming thing. And so, okay, wait, I'm waiting to see you on here, Whoopi. Hold on a second. Get me the line. Okay, there we go. All righty. We're good there. All right. So, okay, give me one more second. Trying to knock these things out so I don't have to do them in midstream. Okay. All right. I think we're good for now. Okay. Ricky Clay, come on in the building. Kev's Butterfly. Yes. I love your name, by the way. I've been wanting to tell you that. Thank you for coming in. Peace and blessings. Let's see who else we got coming in the room. Okay, Sassy 81, bald head. So we got both of the Waynes in the house. We got bald head or Wayne with the braids, and we got the bald head Wayne. But I'm glad both of y'all are here. So salute. Thank you so much for being here. See, child. Yes, thank you. It's always a blessing to see you. You always got such words of encouragement. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Candyman, TJ in the building. Listen, I need for you and that Remy, y'all, okay. We're gonna have a talk behind the scenes, Candyman. It's a joke, but no, for real. Boy, will you get into your bag? That must be a Brown brother trait, okay? Because that is what's popping. You went off from the beginning of that live to the end, because I watched the replay before Bolo did a reaction. And I'm here to tell you that was off the chain, but it needed to be said. And, if it was raw and uncut, that's just what it was. But for 4 years, they lucky that's all they got, with some words, right? So, yes, salute to you. Thank you for coming in. Oh, we got Bolo in the house. You ended your live, Bolo? Well, thank you for being here. I didn't want you to prematurely do anything, but anytime you're here, it's a blessing. So thank you so much. And anybody that I've missed, charge it to my head and not my heart, because this chat's moving kind of fast. So Lions Den. Oh yes, thank you. I don't know how to speak Jamaican dialect, so welcome, peace and blessings to you, Wingwan, or whatever y'all be saying. I tried it. Okay. Hey Trina, what's up? What we doing? El Boogie in the house. Okay, so listen. I'm gonna the first video now, I'm gonna show a news clip, and it's gonna be, I thought the one that Kwame showed was really good, but he if I think a lot of us got sick to the stomach because the way he abruptly ended Passa. Hey, double speaks. I can't miss my speaks. I can't miss him. I had to stop for the cause because I don't think I saluted you. Thank you for being here, double speaks. I appreciate your presence always, always, always. Right? Bless up. That's right, Whoopi. So, and he was talking about how the mothers that were traveling over with, because there was such an issue with human trafficking and sex trafficking, that they were giving their daughters birth control shots so they would not get pregnant in their journey coming to this country. Now, this thing goes deep, y'all. There's no way I'm going to be able to cover everything that's pertinent and that's urgent information in this one live, but I am definitely going to attempt to touch on things to kind of, pull it all together. And then, you can engage in conversations with your loved ones, especially if you're in, Texas, and you're being directly affected, or everything is being visible to the eye and you're feeling it maybe financially in your travels with the congestion of the population, all of that. But this is a lot, you guys. So, okay, without further ado, I'm gonna kind of replay and then go a little bit further on this news clip that Kwame played. I had to go find it on this woman's presentation, this news anchor's presentation of how she perceived and why she perceived this was actually going on. So give me just a moment. Again, is that it? 1921. Oh boy, why is it not doing it? There it is. Okay. Y'all give me a second. I got all my stuff out here. Okay.
Suggest a stay of the ability of Border Patrol agents to cut the concert.
Okay, so for those that may not be aware of actually what she's saying and how we got to this point, so there are 28 points of entry to the state of Texas by federal law that they have to be able to allow the immigrants. It's mute. So you didn't hear the video, Bolo? Did no one hear the video? Because I'm not on mute. Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay. I don't know why it's mute. Can you hear me? Can you put a 1 and hear me? Okay. All right. Give me just a second and I'll put it on my other device. I don't know. It must be something in my settings because this is, sorry about that. Okay. All right. So let's try this one more time. Turn the volume all the way up.
A woman and her 2 children were stuck on the razor wire. They drowned. The claim was that.
Okay.
Party for Democracy. Last week, 3 migrants, a woman and her 2 children, were stuck on the razor wire. They drowned. The claim was that, Border Patrol their legal action. So basically, there's a case that's coming before the Fifth Circuit on February 7th that will actually hear the merits of the case as to whether or not Border Patrol trumps the state authority to control its own border. And Texas is arguing that under the Constitution, we have the right to prevent an invasion of our country. Greg Abbott has invoked the invasion clause, the emergency clause that gives him the authority to do this. So SCOTUS is not saying that Texas is wrong to put the wire up or that they can't put the wire up, but they're simply saying, pending this February 7th court case, we're going to allow the federal agents to come in and cut it if they so choose. Now,
okay, thank you for that, you guys. I'll have to figure out what's going on with my my desktop another time, but as long as you can hear it, it's all the same. Okay, so if anybody that is maybe unaware, there's 28 current points of entry. Thank you, you guys. I appreciate that so much. Points of entry to Texas that federally by law, they have to allow the immigrants to come over the border. But that has gotten so out of control and it's so unmonitored and so dangerous that the governor has put up barbed wire across all of the areas that they are coming over on, point of entries being water, land, whatever the case may be, whatever routes they're taking outside of those points of entries that are allowed. He has reinforced it with severe, that on the thumbnail, that is an actual shot of Texas, one of the Texas areas where they have barbed wired it, right? And so Biden and the administration have given pushback and basically have demanded that they take the barbed wire down. And bless up to Governor Abbott because he is saying absolutely not. And he has invoked the Invasion Act. And to me, this is a brave and a bold course of action, but he is also possibly setting a precedence because he has the backing of 25 Republican senators and governors that are backing him in this decision from other states that are saying, okay, well, we're going to back you on this. And if they try to enforce this and it's being abused, which it is, in my opinion, based off of the news that I've been watching, that they're possibly could invoke the same course of action from their jurisdictions, right? So now the whole time all of this is going on, I'm like, I got one question and I'm just going to keep asking it. Why? Right, Kim R. There, it's not, it's people are coming from all over. They're coming from all over. And this is this is putting, to me personally, and fair use, YouTube, but to me, this is an act of treason because anywhere we go, we have to have a passport. Even to go to Mexico, we have to have a passport, right? I took a cruise to Guadalajara and I needed a passport. So I'm trying to understand, where did this free for all come from? We don't have enough resources for the people that actually live here. We've got a huge homelessness problem in New York and Chicago. There are people, the immigrants and illegals coming from other countries are sleeping on the streets. They're prostituting themselves. They're stealing. They have theft rings. People, there are in the inner city in New York, there's massive businesses being closed down because of the theft issue. Walgreens, CVS's, Targets, Walmarts, they're closing up shop because of the traffic, the theft, and it's just at a point where it's not controllable. So let's listen to a little bit more of what she says, because she brings up some really good points. Disturbing, but good nonetheless.
Texas, in response to that, is saying you can come in and cut the wire, but we're basically not going to allow you access. So they're trying to find this loophole where they can skirt the Supreme Court's stay of the Fed's ability to cut the concertina wire pending this court case. Now, I would agree on technical terms that it shouldn't be a death sentence to cross the border illegally, but you could argue basically that any kind of physical barrier to people crossing the border illegally could potentially result in death. If you were to build a 10-foot wall and someone decides to try to climb that wall and they fall off and they hit their head and they die, I wouldn't say that the blame for that is on the person who constructed the wall, but on the person who decided that they should try to scale the wall. You take an inherent risk when you cross into another country illegally. And the whole reason of putting this razor wire on the Rio Grande is to disincentivize people from trying to cross the river, which is inherently a dangerous thing. There have been numerous drownings in the Rio Grande by illegal migrants before there was ever any razor wire in there, not to mention the fact that these individuals who drowned recently were on the Mexican side of the river. So it's arguable whether the United States Border Patrol would have even had jurisdiction to go in there anyway. The Texas National Guard itself has saved dozens of people from either drowning or undergoing other medical emergencies upon trying to cross the border. But the whole point is to try to filter people who do want to come into the United States into the proper ports of entry, where they can then either make a claim to asylum or make some other legal claim as to why they should be allowed to enter the United States. And then they can go through the proper court process, as to opposed to just pouring through these unmanned stretches of the border that don't have any security.
Okay, that was a mouthful. So basically, people are dying at the end of the day trying to cross that border. So there's a sense of urgency without all of that death being on the state's hands, or the jurisdiction, the hands of the people that are in control of that particular jurisdiction. They're having to pull all of their resources just to make sure that they try to minimize fatalities, because these people are dying to come, literally to come over across the border. But now, okay, so let's not lose focus here. Now, they've got the 28 points of entry to where they come through the ports, and they're at least attempted to be properly documented, like she said, and then you have to go through due process in the court systems, like everybody else that is prior to this mayhem has come over here and had to endure and go through those particular steps in order to become to acquire rights of this country, right? And optimally at some point citizenship, possibly. But you got Biden that's saying, look, the barbed wire outside of these 28 points of entry, we're going to cut. We're going to come in and exercise federal authority, and we're going to make sure that these things are not upheld because we say so, not because it makes sense, but because we say so as the administration, and that's just how it is. But that's alarming. And that's even more alarming. Imagine the citizens and the residents of Texas hearing this and then going outside with their families in just regular everyday travel, seeing all these strangers. You don't know if they've got sleeper cells. It's not a secret that a lot of these people that are coming over, majority are young men. So the things that are visible to the eye is really at a point where it's alarming people. And instead of the Biden administration putting the people somewhat at ease by supporting the governor, now it's an issue. No, we don't have to give you an explanation. We're just saying that this is unacceptable, right? So Mel W says, the challenge is going to be the narrative for pro-illegal immigration will be Civil War rhetoric to make Black folks think that this is about race, not security. Bingo. Bingo. And I don't know if you're busy, but when I'm done with this, I want to drop the link because that is so true. And look at history and how many times they have made everything about race. And this is not, we're talking about everybody being affected, not just Black people. Right. And so that is such a great point, and it was so well articulated. Mel, thank you for putting that. You guys, this chat is going faster than I'm accustomed to. So God forgive me and y'all forgive me if you make a comment that I missed. That definitely doesn't mean it doesn't have value. It's just that I'm trying to stay on topic here, and I'm glancing, but I'm easily distracted. So and I'm just being transparent. So let me just play a little bit more of this particular clip, because there's another video that I actually want to play in reaction and give a different perspective other than what the mainstream media is providing.
Yeah, I think there's just a big difference between a fence and a razor wire barrier that, stabs people, gets attached to your clothes. That's a big reason why people drown trying to cross over the razor wire. Also, if this event did happen, this incident happened on the Mexican side of the border, there's a huge problem. Why is the razor wire on the Mexican side of the border? That's going to put the United States in a really tough position with their neighbor Mexico. Why are you putting razor wire in the Rio Grande River on our side? I think it's a very dangerous obstacle. It's not the same thing as falling off of a fence, something that is intentionally meant to cut anyone who comes into contact with it, or have it get caught on your clothes while you're swimming in a river trying to cross over. So I think it makes sense to have the Border Patrol be able to, cut this down, because this is going to increase tensions between the United States and Mexico. I think putting people's lives at risk unnecessarily just doesn't make sense. Is immigration.
So because you don't want tensions between Mexico, using that as an example, and the United States, we're supposed to just be a free for all and put our country and our borders at risk because of whatever picture you're looking at? Because this picture is a lot bigger than just relationships between Mexico and the United States. And there is no competition between the we don't really have anything to fear. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, like, in comparison to Russia and China, we don't have really a huge, as much of a threat as we do with open borders. I don't know about anybody else, but that's just common sense to me. I'm having a hard time digesting what this one lady is talking about. I guess her paycheck might look really good at the end of the week, and because to me it sounds scripted. But that's why I am glad, at least on this panel, that there's a different perspective and some pushback on what she's got going on, right? So, okay, here we go.
The United States, the same thing as an invasion. What constitutes an invasion? I don't think people who are willing to risk their lives, that's why they're going through these dangerous conditions, because of what they are fleeing, is so much worse than the potential of encountering the Texas National Guard, of encountering razor wire, of risking their life crossing the desert or the Rio Grande, which is extremely dangerous. People drown quite often. So really, these are people that are making a big risk because they've deemed their life in Mexico worth taking that risk. And a lot of the dangers in Mexico are thanks to U.S. intervention across Latin and Central America. And so when you have Representative Mike Collins, quoting the Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, saying, the U.S. shall guarantee to every state in this union a Republican form of government and shall protect them against invasion. And so it's not the states' rights to protect themselves against invasion. They could say, we don't agree with what the federal government is doing, but at the end of the day, that's a U.S. border, not just the Texas border. Maybe they'll end up succeeding, and maybe it will be, Texas and Mexico.
Okay, for fair use, I gotta pause it. I wanted to play it a little bit longer, but I think this is a good place to just kind of pause for a second. Not to even I'm not digesting anything she's saying, because I don't think that she's speaking from a rational or realistic perspective personally. And I just kind of got to tune her out. Now, I was feeling these emotions that are rising up in me as we speak during Kwame's live. So I totally understand why he felt the way that he felt, because listening to these words, it's like I feel that this country is being totally sabotaged. And I have an issue with that. You know, they talk about our children, they talk about legacy, they talk about the American dream. Well, everything that compiled into the American dream is not American at this point. And I'm having an issue with that. So
I mean, the argument would be then that the federal government has failed in its duty to protect the states, and so the states have had to then protect themselves. Because
boom, that part. And I don't know how many people are aware. However, that is why it's called the United States of America, because it is not one unit, it's 51. Or how many states? I think we're at 51 now, but every state it has its own set of laws. That's why there's federal, and then there's state, and then there's provisions in state laws that when the rise of government is not acting according to the Constitution, that the state within it is within its right to make certain decisions upon the well-being of that state. And so, what, in essence, in my opinion, fair use, what is being done is the administration is abusing the power that they have. And that's problematic because now you have the largest state, and we can't ignore the fact of the Second Amendment, right? That Texas is probably number one in this country that will fight to the hills and back about their Second Amendment. And that's why I say I feel like this rabbit hole goes deep, and I feel like it's a lot deeper than just about the voter block being replaced or the black vote being replaced by to me, this is much bigger. But like Mel said, it's easy to make this about race because that's what they've always done, as opposed to the security of this nation.
Because the federal government fundamentally right now is refusing to enforce immigration policy as it sits on the books. And what Texas is doing is simply enforcing the policy that the federal government has signed on to. So there's not an inconsistency between federal law and what Texas is doing to try to secure its border. I would argue that this absolutely would qualify as an invasion. When we just look at the sheer numbers of people who are coming across the border, we've seen, I believe, somewhere between 6 and 8 million just since the beginning of the Biden administration. That's more than the population of many U.S. states. We've seen record.
Hello, 6 to 8 million people, and they're saying that by the time this is over, at least 3 million more will come. I got a question. Where are they going to put all these people? And who's paying for all of these people? Because most of them don't speak English. They don't know the culture. They're not going to be able to not legally obtain employment, not legally. I know that there's an agenda at hand. However, but in the meantime, until they can fast track them through all of these different loopholes that they're trying to acquire and push through, who's going to take care of these people? Okay, Earth Day, thank you. Hold on a second. For anybody that is blessing me, I appreciate you. Okay, Earth Day, I got you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you, sis. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I have also received PayPal. Thank you for anybody that is financially supporting me on this day. I appreciate you so much. Oh, thank you, Mr. Wayne Daniels. You're always so thoughtful. Thank you so much. Yes. Selena, are you in Texas? Florida's getting, yes. Well, look at all that water. And you got islands that surround Florida. So that's no surprise. But I think that all in that and all of the sanctuary cities. Oh my goodness, Chicago and New York. I can't imagine. I've been following New York pretty closely. Just everything and how everything is not even a trickle down. It is such a hard impact that the people don't know. And New York is already congested in population. Dallas, Texas, also, oh, God bless y'all. I'm telling you, yes, I can't wait to drop the link, because I would love to get some firsthand information and feedback on what is going on, because I'm skeptical about the media. I believe maybe 20% of things that are said. So I definitely encourage anybody that's going to hang around to definitely join in on the conversation. So let's go through a little bit more of this. But 6 to 8 million people, oh my God, that's, like she said, that's the size of some of our smaller states. That's huge. And then they're still letting people in. And now Biden is irritated and threatening to enforce, or to overrule this the governor's judgment call, by having, so now you got us going at each other on US soil. What does the Bible tell you? A house that's divided against itself cannot stand. That's why I feel this is intentional. They have to know that this is going to cause problems, big problems, right?
Numbers on a monthly basis of over 300,000 illegal migrants, illegal encounters. That's actually the ones that we don't catch coming across the border on a monthly basis. The highest number under the Trump administration, when he signed the emergency authorization, was 100,000, just over 100,000. We're now seeing triple that. And yet the Biden administration still refuses to even call this a crisis, refuses to use the available authority that they do have outside of congressional intervention, outside of additional funding to secure the border. And I would also argue that this would actually probably help tensions with Mexico, because Mexico doesn't want people from Guatemala and Honduras coming up through their country either, to then get across the U.S. border, drown on their side of the Rio Grande River, potentially die on the journey in their country. It's a humanitarian.
That's a great point. That is a great point. And that's a mic drop. I don't need to expound on that, or, broaden that statement on any level. That's how we feeling right now. Nobody wants that blood on your hand, on their hands, from another country having fatalities, when you are rushing to live this American dream. These people, in my opinion, have been deceived, and they have been hoodwinked in a large on a large scale. And for there not to be any cap, any reassurance to the American people that once we reach this capita, we're going to cut it off, or because we're looking at the best interests of the states. This is insane, in my opinion, right?
Requirement, I think, to not incentivize people with our policies to make that dangerous trek, where a vast majority of them are paying tens of thousands of dollars to coyotes who don't care about their life. It's essentially human trafficking. We've seen statistics suggesting that as many as 70% of women who come on the journey to the United States are sexually assaulted on their way, to the point that mothers.
70%. Pause. I need for that to set in. And that's not the only disadvantage, but we're talking about being SA'd. 70%. And what she's getting ready to say is going to make some stomachs drop.
Giving their 10-year-old daughters birth control so that they don't get pregnant when they're raped by the coyotes or the males who are on them with them on these journeys. And so, to me,
okay, I gotta rewind that a little bit, because that needs to permeate. And if they know this, they know a lot more than what is being told to us, which means typically the numbers will probably be a lot higher. Okay. So I'm just looking at it through my historic lens of the way that this country has operated. And they know things decades in advance before we do. So that they have a lot more information in order to avoid civil unrest until it is their time for it to come to pass.
Not securing the border, not changing policy to prevent people from wanting to come here because they think that they're going to get catch and release the vast majority of these people do not qualify for asylum. So they can say they maybe want more economic opportunity, but about 90% of the people who claim that they get control so that they don't get pregnant when they're
okay. Sorry, here we go.
Are paying tens of thousands of dollars to coyotes who don't care about their life. It's essentially human trafficking. We've seen statistics suggesting that as many as 70% of women who come on the journey to the United States are sexually assaulted on their way, to the point that mothers are giving their 10-year-old daughters birth control so that they don't get pregnant when they're raped by the coyotes or the males who are on them with them on these journeys. And so to me, not securing the border, not changing policy to prevent people from wanting to come here because they think that they're going to get catch and release. The vast majority of these people do not qualify for asylum. So they can say they maybe want more economic opportunity, but about 90% of the people who claim that they get asylum because of either political implications or gangs or violence or whatever else they're claiming don't qualify. The asylum rules are very specific in our country, and 90% of them aren't going to get that because
she's saying that 90% isn't going to get that, but there has to be some type of plan in place to fit an agenda that these people are trying to push, right? So I'm going to stop that particular video. It is very informative. All of the links of the sources and the videos are in the description. On your own time, please, if you're invested, go listen in its totality and draw your own conclusions and let it plant seeds according to you and how you operate. But I encourage everybody to definitely spread this information amongst, and especially if you are being directly affected and you're not just hearing this from the news and you are feeling the effects and you're seeing the outcome, it's not stopping anytime soon. People need to be aware of more than just people coming over the border and the administration not giving explanations. So the links again are in the description. Please, as you're coming into the stream, please tap that like button or the dislike button. Just respond to something and share this stream. Even if you feel that people may not find value in it, I guarantee you that somebody will learn something that they didn't know before they clicked on the link. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next video. If you can bear with me for a second. There's
purge.
Hold on. No.
Oh.
That's not it. There was one more video I wanted. I think I've closed the link. Okay, so while I'm kind of doing this, there is a video that I'm going to show, my last video. Yes, please, everybody that has channels that plans on utilizing their channels, please post your links in the or Bolo, if I know you have access to links. But now I will say also in the description, a majority of you that do have channels, I tried to cover. I still gotta add, because people are definitely coming on board gradually. So if it's not there, put it in the comments, and then I will make sure at the end of the stream that it's updated. But there are links. If you don't want to post your link and you look in the description and it's there, it's still accessible to those that seek it and are interested. But I encourage you, it's totally fine here to plug yourself in, not a problem. So in the last video that I am going to show, I'm going to try to find the one, there's one more, but it may or may not surface. But he talks about Operation Lone Star. Okay, so this is a joint operation in Texas between the public safety, the Department of Public Safety, and the Texas Military Department along the U.S. Mexico border in southern Texas. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because you're going to hear this term when we go through the video. Actually, I'm going to do that next, because I don't want to make this a long drawn out and lose people's interest, but this next video, I definitely want us to kind of dissect and go through, because again, like I said, this is going to be a different perspective and it's going to come from a different angle. And this brother I follow and I encourage. He is so on point, and he is actually very instrumental at keeping a lot of people balanced and giving them a different perspective outside of the perspective that the powers that be want us to have. Okay. His name is New Breed. And when I tell you he's relatable, but he does his homework, he's been doing this for a long time, and he is extremely passionate and dedicated to his calling. It's not even a craft, it's a calling. And I've been following him for a long time, and I've seen his growth and I've seen his evolution. And I definitely want to react to his video, and it actually piqued my interest. And so I was so glad to see that Kwame talked about that this morning, because as I was working on my live this morning and I saw his thumbnail, I was like, yes, because this needs to be talked about, right? Okay. Thank you, T. Smith. Did you get your wrench? I'm not on YouTube, so I don't know if you got it from here, but I gave you one. Okay, so again, I want you guys to see. Okay, I'm going to try, let's do a brief intermission, and I'm going to try one or two different things, if you can just bear with me, because this is worth you actually me sharing the screen. I want you to be able to see, because he actually shows a couple of videos outside of just hearing the audio. So just give me a moment, if you don't mind being patient with me. Okay. Yes, thank you guys for your patience. I don't know what's going on and I don't want to belabor, trying to figure it out. So I'm going to go ahead and do the audio, but again, I encourage you to definitely go and view this on your own time and watch the whole thing. It's an hour and 19 minutes and it's going to go fast. I promise. I promise you'll get it. Okay. I'm going to turn the music down. Hold on. So feel free to let me know with the music playing. If you're having issues listening to the audio, please put a one in the chat for me, okay? If it's or two in the chat. If it's fine, then you can put a one.
It was the Forever Purge. That trailer didn't look right. It looked like they mixed them all together. But the point I'm making is they were shipping the immigrants. They were shipping the immigrants through these jail-like buses. And they were putting them in these facilities and pretty much leaving them as sitting ducks. They had curfews, the same thing we're seeing right now, where they have these curfews, they're unable to work and so forth, and they're pretty much sitting ducks. They're being basically brung over here where you're having the Republicans clashing with the immigrants. That's who was conducting the purge in the movie. It was like the good old boys going against the immigrants. When you look at the last Purge movie that came out.
So the name, to refer to the movie that he's talking about, he said that it was the final Purge. It was a recent movie that was released. I don't know if anybody is aware, but these movies that we're watching now is nothing but predictive programming. So that means that they are making us aware of what's coming down the pike through entertainment. Right? Welcome, Pink Diamond. Thank you for coming in. And anybody that I may have missed, I apologize. You said you're wrench illiterate. I didn't know how to use it either. But if you don't use it, that's fine. No worries. No disrespect taken. None at all. I just you were one of the first ones to come in, and I see you all the time, and I trust your judgment. So I just wanted to, extend that to you, but no pressure. It's all good. So he's speaking on predictive programming, and he makes references. He keeps up on a lot of the movies and the entertainment because there's always similarities and correlations between that and between what is really happening in real time or the preface of it, and we see signs of it, and then as time goes on, guess what? That it actually comes to fruition.
It was all those who got brought over here as immigrants, man. I'm telling you, these movies are not just movies anymore. They telling you what they on, man.
Senior U.S. Customs and Border Protection official says that won't happen. Writing in a statement to Fox, bottom line, Border Patrol has no plans to remove infrastructure, sea wire placed by Texas along the border. Our posture remains the same. If we need to access an area for emergency response, we will do so. While that plays out in the courts in Washington, there's no deal in sight on border security.
House Republicans, they have a choice to make, right? They have to choose whether they want to solve a problem, actually solve a problem like the Senate is trying to do in a bipartisan way, or get in the way and score political points.
House Speaker Mike Johnson updating his...
Okay, that Karine Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is. See, one thing about me is I'm transparent. She don't even lie good, okay? I don't watch her. I don't listen to these briefings. They're full of mistruths, untruths, lies, all of that. And so if that's why one of the reasons I wanted to show you the actual video is because I look at body language, and these questions that she was issued during this press conference made her super uncomfortable. And she really did not know how to respond. So she basically told them that she didn't respond. She did not answer the questions. She sidestepped most of them by saying that she wasn't going to speak on that because she didn't feel like she was in position to do so. Right?
colleagues on the Senate's draft bipartisan border policy, writing in a letter, quoting here, if rumors about the contents of the draft proposal are true, it would have been dead on arrival in the House anyway.
I think they should try to get something done. That's my personal opinion. But regardless of whether they do or not, there's actions that the president can take right now to help the governor instead of working against him.
This year, the rate of
That part. Welcome, King CP3. Thank you for coming in. So to recap a little bit, we're just talking about the relationship between the state of Texas, and how it's being governed by the governor and the Biden administration. They're clashing. They're in deep disagreement about how the Texas borders should be open, and they have different definitions of the Constitution or of the laws that are in place regarding immigration or illegal immigrants. I saw your comment on Mel W, and you'll get to address that if you hit the link when I drop it. When you asked the question about what the hell is an illegal immigrant in the first place. So I didn't miss it. I wanted to let you know I saw it, and it will definitely be prevalent, but we just want to get through this reaction to this particular video, because he's got some great pushback and talking points based on the information that the media is providing us, right? Yes, T. Smith, decades. I would even venture to say it's longer than 30 years. That's why everything flows the way it does a lot of the times in their favor. However, us being in these last days and prophetic days, there's a God that sits high. So listen, prayer. I saw somebody say something about prayer. I highlighted the comment. I'm telling you, what you don't have control over, please send a prayer over. Send several prayers over, because they do get to the ears that they need to get to.
illegal entry.
And see, look, I need y'all to understand, man. This is all scripted. Everything that's going on in the states has been already written out, drawn out. Listen, all the governors, they know what's up. I know we want to believe that they're just imploding naturally. They're telling you by putting a movie out right around the same time called Civil War. It's predictive programming. It's lesser magic. They have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it. That's
biblical. That is biblical. That the enemy has to reveal what their intentions and their plans are before they do it, or it will not be effective.
These people are playing the public. The world is but a stage. Shakespeare said it best. It's a show. And it all has an agenda. And that's what we need to understand. When we're looking at this news, we have to really facilitate everything through the parameters of the Bible, through the text, so we can know what they're attempting to do. Right?
Into the U.S. is on pace to reach some 3 million.
It's about to be 3 million more people in the United States, where inflation is through the roof, people struggling to make ends meet, and you know, all hell is pretty much breaking loose. Crime is on the rise in the land. But
and that was a caveat to what I was saying earlier about all these stores closing. Now let's just think freely for a second, and outside of the spectrum of what we're talking about. Let's, like Bolo says, logically. Let's think from a place of logic. Now you got the big corporations out here that's making all this money. Do you think that they're going to succumb and agree with this if there wasn't a plan for them to benefit when it was all said and done? I don't think so. You got the pharmaceutical companies, you got these big corporations. Like during the pandemic, I saw so many small businesses go out of business, which, what do you think happened? That business had to go somewhere, right? And so they are closing these stores, but you're not hearing a lot of pushback from these big corporations that on the surface seem to be losing money. They seem to be losing access. It's really not that. And Lou, I saw your comment when I dropped the link. Please, we'll discuss it once I drop the link.
We're about to bring an additional 3 million more people over here who have no way of making means for themselves. Like literally, they're concocting the perfect storm. It's the perfect recipe for riots. It's the perfect recipe for civil unrest. It's the perfect recipe for crime. Yo, when the scriptures tell us that Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of every foul bird and every foul spirit, them scriptures ain't lying, man. It's fallen. It's become the dwelling place of all kind of demons. It's a prison for every foul spirit, a cage for every unclean bird. And every nation have been drunk from the wine of her fornication. The kings of the earth committed fornication with her. The merchants of the earth have become rich through her abundance and luxury. But guess what? She's having a hard, that girl, she having a hard fall, boy. She can't walk in them hills no more. She's sliding down the hill quick.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Hello. Come on now. Look at the deterioration of our country and how fast this is occurring. Look how fast this shit is coming to pass. You can't get your ground and your footing up under you before we have a whole nother situation collectively as a nation that we have to deal with. This just isn't at our front doors anymore. This involves everybody. And I don't know how many people recognize that. Salute, Garrett. Hey, Garrett. What's up? 86K in the house. Thank you for joining us. So this is absolutely, in my opinion, planned out, intentional, and they are moving in desperation. All of the veils have come off. For years, we have been left in the dark because they have moved behind closed doors, but their time is short. It's super short. And now they don't have time to do that anymore because now they know that it's coming to a close and there has to be a shift in power. That's biblical.
I mean, she falling off. America's hitting the wall. You hear me? It's hitting the wall. I know the red pillars always talking about the wall. Man, America's hitting that wall. I'm telling you, this is why you got to get your mind right, liquidate your assets, get around like-minded people. Get the hell away from jealous, envious, sick, vile people who just don't want nothing better for themselves, man.
Speak it, New Breed.
Who ain't like-minded, because when things hit the fan, people gonna show their true colors, man.
Yes.
You're gonna see the devil and demons come out of people.
Yes.
Everybody sat back and watched that war over there across the pond, and everybody marveled at what we see. There was a lot of pity parties being thrown, a lot of sympathy thrown out there. But listen, what's coming here? You ain't seen nothing yet.
That's that. Sometimes it's just a mic drop. It is what it is. So I'm taking a pause for the cause. Speaking of the word farming, even though that may not be what the context. Okay, I see what your context is, T. Smith. I knew something was up when overseas they were performing, the governments were going to the major farmers and they were giving them ultimatums. We've even seen that here with chicken factories, industrial plants being blown up, set afire, all these mysterious ways that they're being demolished. We're not getting any news outside of the fact that it's been demolished, because guess what? Social media, it can be for their good or for their detriment. And so a lot of that news that we get that's authentic now, even though we still have to sift through that, is coming through social media. So the mainstream media has to always try to get ahead of the curve in order to sway the narrative to make us think that things are just happening by happenstance. And so overseas, if the farmers did not acquiesce and sell them their land, the powers that be, they burned their land. They burned it. Look at Hawaii. Hawaii ain't no different. You look at all of the celebrities over there that have land, that have prime real estate. Now, none of their acres got burned, but around them and the land that people refused to give them or to give the government was incinerated. It was totally incinerated. And so there are just way too many instances and circumstances where they want the control. If we farm and if we create our own crops and food sources, then we don't need them. They've taken control of all of the necessary resources, the water, the air, we got to pay for air. Come on now. When you go to a gas station and you have a low tire pressure in your tires, in most places that's not free, right? Just using that as an example. So Bolo says, oh, I got 200 subs. Salute. Thank you. And that comes from y'all. And I appreciate the support. I absolutely do. I am, you know what? I'm extremely passionate about getting the word out now that I don't have the jitters that I had before. And I'm a little more relaxed. Now I'm really getting the fire in my belly because I have so much information in me and so much knowledge that I have been seeking and gaining over the years. But now I have the platform to actually share that to those that are willing to receive it. And for that, I thank you. So let's keep going.
And they're gonna say, "Oh, this is that doom and gloom, New Breed. You giving them doom and gloom." No, I'm telling you the unequivocal, emphatic truth. What's coming to this land? And y'all think y'all think that this Civil War, America literally splitting in two. Y'all think that's something? We'll wait till the EMPs start, because that's if you watch Leave the World Behind, that's what they got coming for you next. When the smart devices and appliances shut down, where you need to learn how to read a map again. Where the vehicles moving forward all got kill switches.
Okay, so let's touch on that for a second. I went looking for a map. Now, if anybody can give me a source where they can find a paper map, because that's what I was raised on. We used to have that thing would fold out to where it would cover the whole front end of the car, the whole front seat, the driver and the passenger seat of the car. And you had to learn how to navigate using that map. I used to drive back and forth in the South to different states using that paper map. And now all of a sudden, like even at AAA, I remember I used to go to the AAA offices and they would have them for free on the stands. They don't have them anymore. So if they shut everything down electronically, most of us are going to be lost like hell. They're not going to have to shut the cars down because ain't nobody going to know where the hell they're going. Right? So he's making some extremely great points here. And the fact of the matter is that's a rough question for us to have to ask one another. Like for me, now I've been spending a majority of my time, whether it's business, whether it's YouTube, whether it's paying bills, whether it's ordering things online, I'm always on the damn computer. So, but now I have lived enough life to where if they shut it down, I think I'm going to be okay because of how I was raised, right? A solid community can work together. That's what it's going to take. And we're going to get to that. We are definitely going to get to that because that's the only way we're going to be able to circumvent or to get through this thing and still keep our footing and our grounding. That and a believing in a power that's higher than ourselves.
And if there's a government lockdown, martial law, you ain't going nowhere. Grocery stores shut down and everything. Oh, we think the shutdowns ended. We thought they ended with the pandemic. Nah, there are more shutdowns coming, and then they're literally playing this stuff out. And then here's something else that I'm gonna tell y'all that's coming, because when it comes to Texas seceding and pretty much divorcing America and bringing 25 other states with them, because that's what's happening. Because this is deeper than just border control.
Yes.
What you see is these 25 steps individually acting in self-defense. Who are they going to be acting in self-defense next? Right now, we're just saying we're defending ourselves against immigrants. Who you think is next? It's like, okay, y'all want to go rogue? Let's see who got the biggest military power.
Okay, to add caveat to what he's saying, just a couple years or a few years, I would say about 3 years ago, Texas had that flood. Does anybody remember, outside of the people that live there? Do we remember when that happened? Texas, that's not what they're known for. That is usually a pretty dry climate. It's not, it doesn't have that kind of weather typically like Florida. But yet that's why the infrastructure was so affected when the pipes froze and they bust inside of the homes and stuff, right? So you can tell that the infrastructure was not conducive to that type of weather coming through, right? Exactly. Yes, Garrick. So with that being said, now there is an actual law and act in place for weather manipulation. So that's all I'm going to say about that. When he's talking about going rogue and actually governors working in or government state leaders working in isolation of the government, what do you think is going to happen? There you go. That's what's up. I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to show it.
The ones being back, because this is what we got to understand. We are the government, technically.
Facts.
I said, we are the government.
Facts.
Now, what do you mean by we are the government? I mean, we the people are the government. We the people are the government. But you have two different worlds you live in there right now. You have two different governments operating. You got those who are operating on the left, you know, all of the weirdos, those who want to live unlawful, all of those who don't want to be conservative in nature, meaning they don't want to follow the truth. You got those who want to be reprobated, evil and wicked, and teach others to be wicked and evil, and they want to be sexually immoral and everything else under the sun. And then you have another government within that government that wants to, you know, do a lot of replacement theology. They want to silence who the true people are, just like both sides want to do this. But this other side is a little bit more conservative. They don't want to see their country fall to whoredom and depression. So this is the narrative that's being painted. But let me tell you else what's next. Look out, because I done talked about Texas. What's next, Breed? All right, information wars. That's what's next. That's at the World Economic Forum. And I'm not saying this because I'm prophesying to you.
We're already there, in my opinion, with social media and mainstream media. And then you got the chitter chatter amongst the citizens. We're in the information age. So it makes sense to orchestrate for us to be, again, that word infighting.
I'm saying this because I watch what's going on. I'm literally peeping what's going on. My eyes are wide open. At the World Economic Forum, they were talking about one of the biggest threats is misinformation and disinformation. So more censorship. You think we've seen censorship in the past? No, we're going to be seeing censorship on a level of communist China. And they've already gotten started on some of the chosen ones. You know, removing content, removing certain things. I had a video not too long ago. I looked up trying to find, and the video was called Chosen Ones Are Genetically Superior Beings. And I did this video many years ago. Do you know they just removed the video for no reason? They didn't strike it. They just literally, they gave me no reason, said, listen, we just removing this video.
That was on YouTube. Okay. So, and that's not the only time I've heard that, but I wanted to pause for fair use and let you know and emphasize his statement that what we're enduring and what we're going through is real. This is real. And these are things to come. And I think we've gotten a little bit of a reprieve since, you know, of course, from 2000 to 2003. But I think if not before the election, after the election, in my opinion, we need to brace ourselves. No matter who wins. No matter who wins. Remember, I said that.
No reason at all. So what I'm going to do is try to, find that video, put it on Patreon, but it was literally called The Chosen Ones Are Genetically Superior Beings. And I was breaking it down scripturally. How our VMAT2 gene ignites. How we become new beings once we find the Most High. How we go through a metamorphosis spiritually. They removed it.
Yes. Because they don't want us to know.
So I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is that's another war within itself. See, information is power.
Yes.
Yeah, the VMAT2 gene, also known as the God gene.
Yes.
And there's so much going on with this civil war. There's so much news going on. I want to actually share with you more because, man, we're talking about not only standoffs are happening, but Biden, he's made some threats. The Biden administration, listen, when it comes to Greg Abbott, there's been some threats made. I mean, it's getting real. They literally finna go to war, right?
And that's the thing. That's what I mean by the veil has been taken off. There was a time where they would do these things behind closed doors, but because Greg Abbott did this out in the open, and it's making not just national news, but it's being internationally put out there. Guess what? He has to respond publicly because that way the administration can't look weak. But I think this is deeper than just cutting barbed wire. It's a Kianis macho move. You can't have the administration looking weak. And once, like with New York, always seeming to, it's either New York or California that always seems to set the precedents for different things to come, like the alphabet community, housing, the real estate market. They're trendsetters. Well, in the form of Texas, now that is the largest state of our conglomerate, right? So, and then they believe firmly in the Second Amendment, which gives them power. That is a reason for Biden to find a reason to try to exert authority and exert the power that they have to keep control. Because at the end of the day, when I keep asking the question, why is all of this happening? It's for control. All of it's for control. But in order to have control, you have to have power.
Within the states, we don't need other countries to invade us. I know that we're looking at China, we're looking at Russia right now, but look, we don't need none of that for America to collapse when they fighting from the damn inside out, y'all.
That part.
Don't let them play military mind games with y'all.
The administration is demanding Texas officials stop preventing Border Patrol agents from entering a park that has been commandeered by state National Guard soldiers. This comes in the wake of the death of 3 migrants near the area. The Biden administration is threatening to take action with the Justice Department if the Texas National Guard does not stop blocking border.
Wow. Now, when have you ever heard in the history of America, on the news, a president threatening a state, threatening a governor, that if they don't stand down, that they're gonna send them people? This sounds like another country, right? This sounds like something you would say to another country that's evading your borders. You've never heard this, y'all. You've never heard this in the history of America, where they're threatening to send agents. That's a threat. Look, if y'all don't stand down, stop blocking the National Guards. Hey, we finna send some. Y'all think y'all got some might? Y'all think y'all independent? Wait, watch who we send. You've never seen this before.
And they're planning to make an example out of Texas, right? So Baldhead Wayne said Memphis is in chaos right now. Man, that's a whole nother live, because I've been following Memphis. When you talk about, all you got to do is look at the rap sector. Not just that, but I'm saying, like, if you just want to break the surface of the hell that Memphis is going through right now, do a little bit of scratching the surface on the rap industry and how people are dropping like flies there. So, okay, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I did want to acknowledge that, because that's true, Baldhead Wayne. Very, very true. We're going to listen to a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to drop the link please, on your free time, even if you go in and speed up the live so it's not in actuality an hour and 19 minutes, this is worth the time to go and listen to this brother. Sub up to him. He is not going to, nobody's perfect. I'm not saying that he is above anybody, but he takes what he does seriously, his calling seriously, and he very, very, very rarely has to retract anything that he says. And I've been following him for a long time.
So I know a lot of people be distracted with the celebrity nonsense, but this is real right here.
With the Justice Department, if the Texas National Guard does not, and is threatening to take action with the Justice Department, if the Texas National Guard.
He's threatening to take action with the Justice Department. Now, you know, when they're talking about justice, you know what their arm of justice is?
Yes.
The rifle. The rifle, the sword. The Romans only know one way of justice in their eyes. Man, these Babylonian Greeks, the damn Roman Empire is collapsing. These damn Idumeans and these Vikings, they clashing. The whole government is turning in on itself.
Yes.
And this is what happened when there's so much sin in the world, with so much perversion in the world. This is what happens when you have 4 years of just straight debauchery under the Biden administration. 4 years of transitions flaunting around on social media. 4 years of 304s who are given platforms. You living in a country right now where thought pockets and their opinions are respected.
And they're permeated throughout our mainstream media and social media. So as long as the masses overall are following things that don't mean shit at the end of the day, what do you think is going on behind the scenes? What do you think is going on behind the scenes? And because they control all of the media, how much of that information do you think is going to be released to us?
I mean, we talking about sex workers got a mic. Women who just selling their body got all the attention in the world. You living in a wicked society, and this is the product of all that sin. The product of all that sin is what we have here now. America's collapsing, it's imploding. And somebody said they messing with the audio. Put a 1 in the chat if I'm coming through clear.
This action impeded federal operations and led to the drownings of 1 woman and 2 migrant children on Friday. The Texas Military Department is disputing these claims. CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Zhang joins us now. Weijia, the White House has warned Texas to stop blocking the work of federal officials in the state. Texas has not heeded those warnings. What is happening?
Texas is not playing. One thing about Texas is they love their firearms. And y'all know when it comes to the Second Amendment, Texas would be the biggest hurdle, the biggest roadblock. So what we have here now is wild. This is wild.
That's why the Biden administration has to make a statement, and in a lot of instances create friction where there should be none, because they understand the power of Texas. And this is the first state out of the conglomerate of states to do this. So that a point has to be made in order for their plan to be effective.
They're blocking off National Guards, and they're trying to blame. And see, this is what a lot of people on the left do. They come with a lot of, they try to hit you in your emotions. They're saying that this woman died, her 2 kids died because Texas was pretty much well within their rights to block off the border. Now, and when I say their rights, I'm not saying I agree with them or disagree. When I say their rights, I mean they're well within their rights according to the law of this land. Let me see. Somebody said New Breed is a AI robotic demon. All right. So they can garner up the support from the people on the left who are easily,
he got trolls too.
Easily triggered by things like that. And you'll have those people protesting, and it just becomes a big mess.
Happening.
Here's what it is. Let's go.
Or what's going to happen?
Lilia, the administration has sent a cease and desist letter, as you mentioned, to the state of Texas, and said very plainly, explicitly in this letter that if Texas did not move out of the way, that it would be exploring options with the Justice Department to see what kind of actions it can take against Texas. And as you mentioned,
I mean, what kind of actions? You know what type of actions they would like? They would like to take Texas guns away.
Yes. Yes.
That's what they would like to do.
Yes.
They would like to change the gun laws in Texas. So if you have,
because if they can change them in Texas, then they can make that nationwide. And once our guns are gone and our Second Amendment rights are gone, man, listen.
The federal government saying, look, we about to go to the Justice Department and see what we can do to Texas, because they won't stand down, even though they're in their rights. I read in my last, in my previous video, matter of fact, I'm going to prove that Texas is within their rights. I'm gonna bring that up right now in case you didn't see my last broadcast speaking about the Civil War. Let me pull that up. Just give me one moment, because the scriptures tell us to prove all things. Let's see, where is it? And there. Perhaps share that real quick, and then we'll go back to the news brief and see that.
Okay, so there's an article that he pulled up, and he has highlighted, and it's clause 3, article 1, and it says, which it acknowledges that states' sovereign interest in protection. States' sovereign interest in protection. It's in writing, and what the administration is attempting to do is supersede anything in writing to achieve their bottom line. And there are several bottom lines, in my opinion, that they are trying to accomplish throughout these events. A little bit more of this, and then we'll be done with the video.
This portion right here says the failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by Article 1B, 10 Clause 3. I think some of it may be cut off here. I made the screen just a little bit too big. Okay, there we go. Which reserves to the state the right of self-defense. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion under Article 1 as 10 Clause 3 to invoke Texas constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. The Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and other Texas personnel are acting on that authority as well as state law to secure the Texas border. So there you have it. There you have it.
So that's in writing, right? So to me, there's no good place to stop this video because he's dropping gems throughout the whole thing. But once again, please go to the description. The link is in the description and look at it for yourself. Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. Thank you. I know somebody from Texas would know. Hello, that part. Okay. So, without further ado, I've talked enough, an hour and 30 minutes, pretty much on the dot. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link and let's have a conversation. Actually, while people are coming up, I'm going to take a real quick potty break. I don't know how people go online for 5-6 hours without going to the bathroom, or 12 hours. So I've dropped the link. If you can just give me a moment or a couple moments, I'll be right back. Can anybody hear the music? I know it's probably repetitive, but I'd rather you hear that than nothing. So I'll be right back. Welcome to everybody that's new to the stream that I have not acknowledged. Hey, O Speaks. Yes, absolutely. Welcome. CC, thank you for coming in. Thank you for all that have stayed and remained to get some information, and I'll be right back. Ooh, child, that was the fastest bathroom break. And yes, I did wash my hands. All right, Miss Kim R. Yes. Hi, welcome. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I could have. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Well, yes. Perfectly fine. Welcome. Thank you for coming up. I'm glad you did, especially being a resident of Texas. So maybe you can give us some insight. I'm going on mute. Go ahead, Miss Kim. I'm listening.
There's a bit of an echo, but
Is it for you?
I don't. This is my first time here. Going on.
Okay. Do you have happen to have YouTube going on in the background anywhere?
No,
No? Okay. So let me drop you down and then you come right back
oh
up,
no.
okay?
I just shut it off. I did have it in the background. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, no problem.
Okay. Uh,
Thank you.
I live in Houston, and we see it every day. Not so much as the border towns, but the reason this is important to me is because I'm a resident of Houston, Texas, and I'm also a retired military. My husband and I are both retired and from the military, and it is very disheartening to see the number of homeless veterans on the street. Uh, but we allow all of these, and they're not immigrants, they're not migrants, they're illegals. And the media words it as if they are migrants. They're illegal. And you were spot on, Miss Akimi. We can never go and enter anyone else's country the way we allow these people to enter the United States. And it's sad. It's really sad for me seeing all of the homeless veterans on the street begging, especially the older veterans, the Vietnam era veterans on the street. But we allow all of these illegals into our country. It is very disheartening, and it hurts me to my heart because I have served my country for 20 years, and my husband served the country for over 20 years, and we are just this administration is just allowing this country to go to hell in a handbasket, and it is very disheartening for me as someone who served my country, and I'm just it hurts, and I'm just ashamed. And the people that are blind, that can't see what the Biden administration is doing to this country because they hate Donald Trump or whatever they claim this Republican agenda. They're so blinded by Trump derangement syndrome that they will allow this Biden administration to completely destroy this country for because of the hate they have for this man. Um, and that's it. That's all I have to say. But read your Constitution, because as a member of a veteran, uh, my standard issue came with a copy of the Constitution, which I still have actually, in a little booklet that they gave me. And when they handed it to me, I didn't realize. I was like, man, I didn't realize the Constitution was actually this short. So read it for yourself. I reread it all the time, especially with all this stuff going on. I have been rereading the Constitution just so that I am in the know, and I know for myself. I don't watch really any of the media. Just I like to do my own research and know for myself. So
Yeah.
read the Constitution, people. It's very simple. I think it's only like 19 or 20 pages. Read it for yourself and know it. Uh, and so don't believe what the media is trying to sell you, people, because it is a bunch of lies. They're trying to make us believe that this is a black and white issue. It is not. It is not. We see these people coming across the border and coming, especially into Houston, and they're not all Hispanic. Just know that, people. Do your own research. Don't believe what the television is telling you. It's live vision for a reason. Just wake up,
Facts.
people. Please, please wake up. this is the only reason I hit this panel, because the beef stuff, it's fun. This is real life, though, for real.
Real life. Yes,
Real.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the Constitution begins with "we the people." This
Come
was
on.
not that "we the people" is not a little group that KB created. It actually is in the Constitution, people. Read it for yourself, know it for yourself, and we are the people, and we need to stand up for our country before it is run over. That's it, Mr. Kimi. I'm sorry I took over.
No, no apologies needed. First, I just want to say thank you to you and your husband for your service. That is from the heart, and from the chat, it looks like it's the heart of the chat as well. So just want to say appreciate you and your devotion to this country. And it has got to be soul wrenching to watch what you have devoted so many years of your life to preserve and to keep safe, just being intentionally, like you said, ran over and sabotaged. And I also thank you for making the statement that we all need to read the Constitution and not be so quick to go off of hearsay, because like he said, even though he said it seems like we will be going into an information war, I believe we are already here, and we have to be able to discern for ourselves exactly what our rights are, what our capabilities are. And I would like to add to what you were saying, and I say this all the time, and I hear other people say it too, so I just want to echo the people that do say it, their sentiments, by saying that we have to establish community. We have to come together. That is the only way we are going to be able to overcome any of these atrocities that are being put upon the people, because we are at war. I don't know if anybody or how many people recognize that, but we have been at war for a while. But now people are waking up to the fact of the weapons that are being and have been used against us for so long. And so, even though we're behind the 8 ball on that, we have something that they don't have, and that's numbers. But we have to consolidate the mindsets to at least respect one another enough to be able to put some differences aside for the greater good of the people. And so, with that said, let's welcome Mel to the panel. Thank you, Mel, for hitting the link, and we appreciate your presence. And I'm going on mute.
Of course, Mr. Kimi, salute to you. Salute to you, Kim. Thank you and your husband for your service. I definitely enjoy talking to kiddos about like the sacrifice that men and women make on a regular basis to support our country. And I'm like a lot of you guys, and it's a good conversation to have about what's going on with our border. Yes, we have to be careful because they're going to make this a racial issue, and they're going to try to turn this into a discussion on race. They're going to use the narrative civil war in a racial context. This isn't about race. This is about security and defense. This is not against people who are Hispanic. This is an issue of people who are using our southern border to come to this country illegally. I want to give you guys something that really made me reflect on my position about people come to this country illegally. First and foremost, I've seen enough deaths related to drunk driving, and down in Florida, it happens so frequently that people will get hit by drunk drivers and the driver will speed off. And it turns out, more likely or not, you find out that those people were not supposed to be in this country in the first place, or they didn't go through the process. The second thing, when I was younger and I first started teaching, I remember teaching this kid whose brother was actually murdered by MS-13. You can look up the name Raymond Wood and you can see how this kid was brutalized and tortured and murdered by 4 assailants who had came to this country illegally, and their whole purpose was to inflict harm on Americans. And that's just one incident that I can name. I can name another young girl named Diana Alvarez, who was Hispanic, that reflected all the vibrance and light of life, and she was killed by someone who was here illegally. I'm not saying people who come to this country illegally commit all the crimes, but if you keep bringing in people who commit crimes over and over again, that in a country that already is crime ridden, it's going to cause more and more and more problems. We have a real crisis with homelessness. We have a real crisis with gangs, and we seem to keep bringing in, allowing people to come into this country, and the far left people are lying. It is an open border. It is an open border. They'll say it's not an open. It is an open border, and they're lying when they say that it's not an open border, because we keep letting people in. And the last point I'm going to make, Mr. Kimi, I didn't want to be long-winded, but I'll never forget, and I always go back to my own experience when I had a family member in the hospital, and I could not see that family member in the hospital in their last days because of COVID-19. But I can look on the news and I could see that we were letting in over 250,000 people to this country who were not vaccinated or vetted. And that's the type of government we dealt with when they said that you can't see your family member or you can't do this because you're not vaccinated. But we continue to bring in all these people here legally, not knowing if they're vaccinated or not. Make it make sense. But that's what I wanted to share on it, and I'll be quiet and let others speak.
Thank you, Mel, for giving us that insight. You know, to me, I always say that that period of time, from 2020 to 2023, was a test run. It was an opportunity to gather data to see how people respond and how easily people are conform to the rules that are put in place without doing their own due diligence and their own research. And I said it toward the beginning of the stream that the numbers that they give us, you can multiply it, right? Because the numbers that they're giving us is not accurate, in my opinion. How can they know if it's an open border and if you have an administration that is fighting for people to come in here illegally, undocumented, and he's making it known that even though it is written and it is law, and that there are laws in place, that they can supersede those laws, right? And so there's a reason for all of this. I don't want to go too far deep into it because we got Earth Day up here. Go ahead, Mel. I'm listening.
And if I just want to jump in on that, what I know I'm really hard in how I speak about like the Democrats, but yeah, Republicans are definitely bad. But the Democrat Party has been deceptive to us as Black people for so long, with us not even understanding these people that they're allowing to come to this country. They're not going to the suburbs of San Francisco where Nancy Pelosi lives. They're not going to upstate New York. They're not going to any of these. They're going into the communities that we're desperately trying to rebuild and restructure for ourselves. And they're getting the resources that, number one, we've been deprived already. And number two, we're now having to deal with this issue. And you literally, guys, listen to me, you literally do not know who these people are coming in. You don't know if they were rapists, and I'm not gonna pull that Trump speech, but you don't know if they have a criminal background. You don't know where they're coming from. And that's dangerous. And if you are a Black person especially, and you care about your quote unquote community, why would you open it up for people you don't know if they're coming in with good intentions or bad intentions.
Facts. Facts. And also, to piggyback off of what you just said, look at how many people lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods, families that were affected by choosing not to get that jab, right? So let's, for the sake of the channel and it being new and all of that, let's kind of be mindful of the trigger words and just kind of use maybe, you know, initials or acronyms or code words, basically. And so those that refuse to comply with the statutes of the government at that time, and even though it was stepping and going over human rights and our rights as citizens, people by the millions were affected. But now you got these open borders, and not only can you not track who's coming in, but we don't know what they're bringing in. And that is figuratively and physically, right? So definitely, and that has to contribute to people being alarmed at what's going on now, and why not only are the borders open, but they are being fought to remain open against the laws that are currently in place. And I'm done. Welcome, Miss Earth Day. Thank you for joining the panel, and I would love to hear what you have to contribute of value to the conversation.
Blessings, Miss Akini, Jack. Ignorance is bliss. We will love to live blissfully and be happy. But do we want to when ignorance is bliss? These are the things I want to piggyback on. The border. I reside in California. I live in South Central LA. The crime rate has heightened, not due to gang violence, but homeless violence. When I say that, a lot of these things that are being taken place are with people that are not of this state. Why does borderline is necessary? F-13 allegedly, so that I can protect their channel, is a mob. So when Trump was in office and he wanted to build this wall, it was necessary for what we are witnessing right now in real time. Now, here's another thing. No one is not including God in everything that is being taken place. And I want to know why. I hear so many people say they believe in God. Y'all go to church. Y'all believe in everything of what God say. Yet God has shown us everything that is placed in and out the Bible, yet you don't believe it. The crime rate has exceeded in LA, and it has nothing to do with gang violence. I want to know why we're not talking about that. Childhood trafficking, allegedly, has always been. No one is speaking on that. I want to know why. I want to know why we are going against one another, and yet we're not speaking on salute to Miss Akini, Bolo, doublespeak, these issues that we need to be addressing, but yet they get less views. I just want to know. I want to know why we keep going up against each other, and because you want to consider yourself as a color out of a Crayola box and not melanated, which we all have in our bloodline. saying that's the reason why you don't care. I want to know why you voted allegedly for a president that is in office that did a eulogy for the head of the AAAA. I'm going to say it like that to protect my sister channel, but yet you hate Trump and say he's racist. I want to know why you voted for a president that initiated the 3-strike movement and you still not complaining. Gas prices has went up. We are literally living in the purge, but yet no one has nothing to say about it. That's what I had to say.
Those are great questions. So great questions that I think have multiple answers. At the end of the day, the bottom line, it is what it is. First of all, I remember when prayer was taken out of the schools and it became an offense to pray in public within the confines of those institutions of schools, and they are institutions, right? And once that happened, because that reaches the children and catches the children from a young age. And I said this in my last live, that children are impressionable, and the foundation, whatever foundation and belief system and moral compass has been instilled in that child up until the age of 6, that's usually what they carry out. And for those that unlearn and relearn, that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of due diligence, practice, and time. Again, I want to re-emphasize time. So there are people that don't feel that it's worth it. Or there are some people that probably don't know how, because that's not what they were taught. And then we live in a society where in today's age, serving God seems to be censored and demonized. And then, of course, media spread wide. Nobody talks about God. Nobody talks about him, because they are so interested and so hell-bent on using the fear tactic in order to get us collectively to conform to their bottom line and agenda. And the powers that be don't believe in God.
My sister, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm so happy you said that, because you're absolutely right. People are really in tuning to devil worshiping. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. All of these entertainment people are doing nothing but showing devil signs. Red, 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 horns. You entertain it. Like my sister just said, we're not talking about God. You don't think that you are being programmed to the tell lie vision they're giving you? Or do you think you're just that smart that you cannot be programmed into the vision they're giving you?
In a
Black,
nutshell,
melanated, African American, Afro American. To those that say we shouldn't care about the border. You didn't know that this was your land? This land is your land. This land is my land. Oh, wait, hold on. You didn't know it? Oh, well, how did you think Hollywood was created? You thought that they discovered America? Allegedly, let me educate you. The law, the symbol for lawyers, isn't that the symbol in Europe? Why is it our symbol? Why is it that we take days and lay days off for children in school for the Queen, the Pope? What about us as Christians? When do they do a parade about our Christianity? Have you guys ever questioned that? Or are you just programmed and you're going with the flow? Don't get mad at the messenger. Let's talk about it. I want you guys to ask these questions to yourselves. Allegedly, about wearing the dress and the wigs. Could have sworn that happened in UK, allegedly. I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of people are not aware of their history because it's been stripped. It's been
buried.
It's been buried. It's been switched up into a narrative to serve purposes other than progression of people that would benefit from it.
Sis,
and yes,
it's no longer though buried.
it's not. But when you have people, in my opinion, sis, that are born into a certain belief system, and then you have the environment, the culture, and your outside influences reinforcing the same narrative. Like you said, ignorance is bliss. We have a lot of people that don't search further for the truth further than that. And so when I said that was a multifaceted question with multi answers, it gets complicated, right?
Yeah.
But that's by design.
Yeah.
And so you've raised some really, really great points, because when I did this live, I anticipated anything, because I know how far that rabbit hole can go deep and how many different outside components contribute to the current state that we're in. Yes. And so with that being said, I'm solution oriented, but I'm also solution oriented when it comes to believing in a power higher than myself, because we are human. We have abilities that I believe collectively we definitely have not been taught to tap into, and it's not everybody's gift or everybody's ability. But when you think about who's at the helm of the ship, navigating the ship, they're going to, in their opinion, produce their desired outcome. So yes, Mel, you had something that you wanted to add? Please go ahead.
I was just going to add, like, I love the discussion. I would just circle one thing back to when we talk about God and we're talking about the things that are deficient in the school systems. I would put that on. I put that onus on the parents. I put that onus on the communities. The schools will do what the community instructs them to do. There are districts around the United States that actively promote Jesus Christ, but then you have the other ones where they don't, and then you just gotta, like, I would encourage Earth Day, Ms. Akimi, if you have siblings who have children, or if you have children yourselves in the school buildings, you need to know what your children are being taught in the classroom. Listen, I got to be guarded in how I speak about things, because you know how it works. But I'm telling you right now, stuff does happen where you need to know what your kids are being taught, and you need to know who your kids' teachers are.
I agree with you.
Let me just go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I do want to say this just to go back to the discussion about the borders. we have got to get to a point that we all understand and that people can clearly articulate that people coming to this country serve zero benefit to this nation. Okay, people who come illegally, because if they come illegally for labor, they're cutting into the labor market and the value of wages. Because
Exactly.
why would I hire a black landscaping company when I can hire this person who hires people who come here illegally for a cheaper rate? We have to understand the educational aspect that this is taken from cost per pupil of our students now, and we're trying to catch up from 12 generations of restriction and prohibition of education for black people. It doesn't help us. Then we have to talk about also when you look at the other aspects of cities or of cities. The more populated we become, the harder the resources are. And I think ICU asked the question of what resources are they taking from us.
hmm
We have given money to people who've come to this country illegally, just for the fact that we have to provide education, medical services. We have to provide emergency resource systems. And I think Ms. Akimi brought that up, or someone else brought it up before, where we have to provide emergency resource systems to people. Those things are money that comes away from the American taxpayer. And black folks, we are taxpayers. We are Second Amendment believers, and we should be. We should have a right to protect ourselves just like Texas does. And I think more black folks, we are waking up about that. And that's why they're sending more devils. That's why they're sending more devils. Pay attention to what I'm telling y'all. They're sending more devils to be more aggressive in silencing the voice of those black folks who are waking up. And I'm not saying being Republican. I'm saying waking up and saying, I want a safe border. I want to be able to protect my home. I want these basic things. I am an American. I have a right to the American dream without it being hindered. They're sending the devils. So you just got to be careful with that.
So, Ms. Akimi, I didn't want to interrupt you, my brother.
I know you're fine.
Okay. So, Ms. Akimi, because I see what you have up here, and, just piggybacking off of what I'm reading, for one, if we all stood and said something, you didn't think it would make a difference? Secondly, it's called sovereignty. If you find out your lineage, which I am going to start to help people find their lineage to gain their sovereignty, you will have say. What say you? You can have say. I get what you're saying, but you can also gain your own sovereignty and speak for yourself. Or we can all stand and say something. We are voters. We are a part of this country. You're not going to sit up here and say that I've never once seen, we had the black movement, right? We had Martin Luther King. We had people marching. I've never seen no one march for these type of issues. So how can we literally say it's not possible if we've never tried? Now, I will back down and say and piggyback on, I was wrong if we all tried, but we never have. We're just typing, we're speaking, and we're saying, and I'm speaking for myself. I'm not, excluding myself from this whole issue and topic of what we're speaking on. But if you really think that you can't, you will not. But if you attempt and try, at least you will know that you can.
Well, Earth Day, if you don't mind, I hope I didn't cut you off. I want to just
No, you didn't. That's all I have to say.
No. I want to say this as an encouragement for everybody here. What we're doing right now is so unique to the discussion. There are not a lot of live streams that actually brings this issue to the forefront or brings this issue to a conversation the way Miss Akimi has done the way Kwame Brown did earlier.
Mhm.
So I would say we have started to do something as opposed to doing nothing, because the very fact a lot of people in the chat where may not have known about some of the stuff that has been brought up. So I agree with you. We got to do more. But
Yeah.
the power of our vote is very, so people, the black vote is the most coveted vote of all the voting bases.
So
Y'all,
it's
you have to understand what I'm saying. We make up 12.5% of the population. We are roughly 10% of the voting base. 45% of white people are going to vote Democrat. 45% of white people are going to vote Republican. It is never going to change. Black folks, we can change the whole entire existence of this country just by shifting our vote one time for our interests in terms of our safety and our security. But we have people, gatekeepers, who tell us not to do that. We have slaves still on the plantation who tell us not to run away. So you're right on that one, Earth Day, about us needing to do more. But I want to say this platform right here, right now, it's a start at least, I would say.
Mr. Kimi,
Yes, ma'am.
I want to piggyback off of what Mel was saying, especially about the taxpayer issue. We're all taxpayers, United States citizens or taxpayers, and I see here in Texas that the people that come across the border, they come and they receive a cell phone. All this stuff that I'm wondering, where is that money coming from? They get a cell phone when they come here. They get a gift card with at least 2,500, some 5,000, depends on how many people are part of their family with it. And they also get a plane ticket to wherever they want to go in the United States. Who is paying for that? The American citizens, taxpayers are paying for that. So pay attention, people. And Mel was right, vote. And it's not, and I was one of those people that I thought the only vote that mattered was for the presidential election. I didn't pay too much attention to my local elections. Big mistake. I am paying more attention. It starts with your local elections, your state officials. It's not just about those federal elections, because those people that make it to the federal elections, you know where they started? They started as your aldermen. They started in the city council. They started as your state officials. And they wormed their way in through there. And then the next thing you know, they're up in DC. So pay attention to your local government officials. Ask the tough questions. Be a part of those city council meetings. Make noise. I see, and I'm so proud now that I see all across the United States that people are paying attention and they're making noise and they're asking the hard questions of those people now. And I'm a part of it. And I'm gonna I'm making noise, and I'm not ashamed. And I'm gonna be making noise and making them work, and asking them questions and making sure that they do what they say they're gonna do now. And I encourage everybody to pay attention and hold them accountable. And you will get rid of the ones who are all talk, and those what you call them, Mr. Kimi, those poverty preachers or whatever, that
Yeah, that's a good one.
Poverty pimps.
yeah.
Poverty, but there you go. That's it.
So pay it. I just really, and this is so great. This does my heart good, and I'm so proud when I see us as Black people just asking the hard questions, standing up, saying you're not just gonna get my vote just because I'm Black. That is so encouraging. It does my heart good. So thank you, people. I'm done.
You. Yes, thank you for your input, your wisdom, and your experience, because you are in a unique position on many different fronts to be able to express yourself and actually make an impact. So thank you for that. Welcome, Bolo. Thank you for being patient. I'm so glad you're here. Talk to us.
I appreciate you, Mr. Kimi. Shout out to the panel and everybody in the chat. Um, my message is focus on the things you can control. Don't operate in a mindset of fear. You have to understand that, whether you want to call it God or the universe, there is a force out there that's at work. And if you're here right now listening to this message, I'm sure that force is beckoning on you to move. So I would just say to you, listen to the force and move, act. I want to salute Miss Kim R. Her words hold a lot of weight for me, given that she was a part of the service. She comes from that background, and she encouraged us to read the what's it called again, the Constitution. And I just pulled it up. I'm definitely going to go through it myself, although I'm Jamaican, and I'm also going to read my own, because the knowledge of these types of things in law, we're going to need that moving forward to really make change politically, locally, and otherwise. So I would encourage people to do the work, man. One of the things you could do, in my opinion, is share this live. These are the types of discussion. I'm sure you got family out there, you care about them. They need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? 50 people. Share it with those 50 people in the contacts. All right. This type of conversation probably not make the algorithm. You know what I mean? And we already know what's going on with the algorithm. It's controlled. And we know who controls it. So come on now. That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, Bolo. Appreciate your input on that. Yes, I definitely agree with you. We have to do the work. We have to be proactive. And I love what Ms. Kimar said, as far as the local elections. I am also a person that has been guilty of focusing on the national as opposed to the state and local. And I no longer am. I'm more informed now, to the point where I pay more attention to the local election, because that's going to affect you wherever your jurisdiction of, where you live is going to be affected and impacted the most and the hardest. So that, when we know better, we can do better. And I know that this conversation can go on, and we can find so many different contexts to incorporate the conversation, starting with the border, then, kind of migrating to the government's role. But at the end of the day, I'm always, I don't ever present a problem without presenting some possible solutions. And my first solution is always going to be prayer and supplication to a power higher than yourself. And then, go down from there. But definitely paying attention to what's going on locally in your area that you live in the state and the city, the county, from the county on up, is instrumental. And it's a start, educating yourself on, because they're telling us what's coming. So we don't have anybody to blame if we don't start or have not been getting prepared. As far as, like, even if you're living in an apartment, you can start growing and planting seeds and growing small herbs and stuff inside your home with very little sunlight. Becoming self-sufficient and living off the land is something that I think as a whole has been lost to us. But our forefathers and our parents and grandparents, they didn't have the issues that we have, and the fears and the hesitations, and they didn't have the kind of control that we are facing today, largely because they knew how to survive and they didn't depend on outside entities to do so. So, Bolo dropped down. I'm sorry. I know you had to probably go. No problem. Thank you for coming up, Bolo. Appreciate you always, and you're always welcome. Always, always. So, Just and I know it looks kind of far-fetched, especially with my experience of being in this sector. There's so much division. However, it doesn't take everybody, but it does take somebodies to get together with like minds, calculate a plan, and execute it. Because I think most of us can say that at some point in our lives, we have looked for somebody else to kind of save us, like the president. My opinion is a little different about presidents. I'm not saying that who wins doesn't make a difference, but I do think that the power goes a lot higher than the president's, and the plans are already in motion. And in part, I think that presidents are also used as a distraction. So I'm not minimizing the impact of a vote. I am just saying that there's a lot that we can do on a small level. And if enough of us do it on a small level, then we can actually ascend to do it on a bigger level. And with that, I go on mute.
Mr. Kimi, this is Kim. I'm gonna drop down. I have
Yeah.
a hungry family waiting for me to put dinner on the table. They've been patiently waiting for me to get off of this thing. So I gotta go feed my family. So thank you so much,
Thank
sister.
you. And thank you for coming up and tell your family we apologize for holding you, but I'm so glad that you were able to come up and at least speak your piece. And hopefully you'll be able to come back again. So bid well, peace and blessings, and have a great evening. And if there are any final words, I am here for it. And then we can get up on out of here for this live.
Yeah, I'll just say this. First and foremost, thank you so much for having this live and having this conversation. Secondly, I don't want you to kick me off the panel when I say this, Ms. Kimi. I kind of disagree with you about the national election.
Okay.
I do believe that if you hit the presidency, if we hit the presidency this year, and we make our vote really matter, and we vet for things that other groups typically vet for, we can get what we want, or even, well, hell, we can't even agree on that sometimes, but we will have more voter value than what we've had in the previous times. But with that being said, I do agree that the local piece is important, but I'm just saying that nationally, we do have to address the issue. And then the one final question I would ask people, especially when you have those discussions, Speaks said something a while ago, and like I said, I always look in the bushes and see what you all are saying. Speaks said something about, us having a conversation about religion and politics. We have made that become such a toxic thing that we've let the devil tell us that we can't have conversations. Those are the two pillars of our lives. If we can't talk about religion and politics, we'll never be able to civilly come up with a solution for it. So respectfully, with my politics, I would always ask people, whatever their political beliefs are, how does millions or hundreds of thousands of people coming into this country, this is the question, how does that benefit them personally? Because sometimes we got to be selfish in the questions we ask.
Absolutely.
And if they can't answer that question, then maybe they need to rethink their position, because I can't think of one thing that has benefited me by people coming here the wrong way. Now, granted, I believe every child has a right to an education, and I don't fault children who are brought here by irresponsible parents. But you have to ask that question: what benefit is it for this country, for your state, for your city, for your county, for your household, for these people who come here illegally? And I yield the floor.
It's a great space to do so. No, I would never kick you off the panel for disagreeing with me. I value your input, your opinion, and your perspective. You are, that's what makes us who we are. I don't want to be around people that agree 100% with me, because it gives me no room to learn and to grow and to see things through a different lens. And I think that's what makes where we are so unique, is because we all are different. And that's why I think censorship is so dangerous. And I think it's so detrimental to us, because, they call it the land of the free. And each day, our freedoms seem to be getting stripped from us. And that's a problem. And all while doing it, they're letting people that have no investment and no stake in this country, they have added no value, and they're coming to drain us, the people that keep this country circulating on whatever level it's circulating and going around. They're draining us dry. So that's my opinion. But no, you know what? I have to be honest and say that there are times I am conflicted, because history, if I look through history's lens, it's kind of disheartening when it comes to national elections, because I've always voted. I've always voted. And these past, I would say, 3 presidents, well, even though it goes back further than that, I'm just saying, with the times that we're living in, the effects have been so rippling, and they have just kind of gone through each, like we'll get the damage from one president's decisions, and now we got to deal with another one, and now we got to deal with another one. So we're
I agree.
in this pothole that now there's a sense of hopelessness with a lot of people when it comes. I hear more people saying that they don't want to vote now, but I also, like with the Trump administration, there were a lot of people that voted for Biden just to get Trump out of office and see where we are. So if we're voting from a place of emotion just because we don't like somebody outside of the policies, then that's problematic as well. So, I have my moments where I think the essence of who I am, I'm definitely probably going to vote. But I do get discouraged sometimes, and I get kind of pissed, because I think that, you have to look at, when you say policies, in addition to the politicians are masters at deflecting and at not showing their true hand. And so that's where discernment comes in. But my discernment is really pretty strong at this point in my life. And so I'm looking to discern by watching behavior, not just listening to words, by looking at their past behaviors, their past decisions in the political arena. And so that's what Earth Day was talking about, was like, with all of these things that Biden, it happened in his past, and the decisions that he made, that we still are affected by. How did we allow this man to get back into office? And I would venture to say a lot of it was based off of emotion, because most people just didn't like Trump. And so how did that work out for us? Right?
Well, that's the way the devil deceives you, is he'll convince you that something is emotional is more important than something practical. And that's, the last 3 presidencies have been disappointing. And I think the most disappointing thing is they all created a great divide that I don't know if we can come back from, because we can't even unify to say what happened on January 6th was wrong, or we can't unify and say that the guy who just got busted for giving Donald Trump's tax returns to the to the news, and he worked for the IRS, shouldn't scare the crap out of all of us, because if he did it to a president, then regular IRS people can do it to all of us as well too. So I just want to commend you on having another great panel, and just thank you for letting me be long-winded and boring, but it's still
You're not
still
at all.
yeah, no, I'm just being facetious, because I heard we're the
Okay,
boring sector over here, but we're the most knowledgeable sector, who actually talks about real stuff, and we don't just bang desks. I ain't throwing no shots, but I just wanted to say salute to you, salute to Earth Day, salute to Bolo, Miss Kim. Thank you for popping up too, and just stay the course, be honest, and value your vote, because your vote does matter. So salute to everybody. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Mel. Take care. Peace and blessings. Okay. So I wanted to highlight this particular message, even though there are some great comments in the comment section. I know people are live and people have babies to feed, families to feed, baths to take. So I don't want to be too laborious and long-winded. But there's so many great topics and there's a lot of great comments for great conversation. So how we got all this technology but no clean tap water in America. All I'm going to say is that's by the design. Look at the things that are essential for us to live. And of course, they're not going to give us control over, or they've taken control over. So yeah, I think that's kind of obvious, see, child. But we kind of let it get to this point. I think there's a part that we played in it as citizens. We got very comfortable. I know I did. I can speak for me. And so now, all of these things are coming to light and I'm becoming a lot more aware. And so we can go from here and now. And that's why I've been doing a lot of research on water wells. And where I live, I have located a few water wells. And I don't pay for water anymore. And I don't drink water out of a bottle unless it's from a water well and it's stored in a dark, cool place. So I get what you're saying. And that just touches the tip of the iceberg of all of the things that are stacked against us. However, the outcome is what is going to matter. And again, once we start small and we build from there and we do our part, then you be amazed at what the outcome can be, right? So with that being said, I could go on and on. I will go ahead and take this opportunity to kind of close out. I appreciate everybody that has been here from the beginning. I appreciate those that have been able to drop in and out. I understand real life happens. I'm one of those real good bush watchers, though I'm usually present in a lot of the lives that, people that I believe in their messages and or entertainment. I'm glad that I was able to touch on some topics and reach some people that actually are interested in some real life things that are going on. And so I appreciate the being received and the receptiveness from everybody. So anyone that has donated and has blessed me financially, me and my family, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. It is not necessary, but it is definitely welcomed and well received and totally appreciated. So thank you again. Those that are catching the replay, it's a pretty lengthy live. It's definitely lengthy for me, but it was necessary for the message to get out and for people to have the conversation and to present their side of and their perspective. Thank you for Kimar for coming up. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Earth Day. Thank you, Bolo. I feel like I'm missing somebody. I'm so sorry if I am. I appreciate everybody, and I hope everybody has a great, great night. Just, there's a lot that's been said here. So feel free to go back and play certain portions of the live. I know I'm going to have to listen to it a few times in order to, even though I'm the hostess, it's a lot of information to absorb, to process, and to ultimately, hopefully, implement on a good level. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody. Y'all be safe. And I'm going to try to do a live tomorrow, but if I don't, I'll definitely be back on Wednesday because real life happens over here too. So thank you. Thank you, Baldhead Wayne. Appreciate you, Philly 2K, for coming in. Thank you. No Drama. Kev's Butterfly, my sis Earth Day. I got Jenny up in here. Whoopi Rock, you always are a blessing. Your presence, you are just phenomenal. Thank you so much, all of you. Mel W, thank you again. C Child, Douglas Cook, No Drama. My sis Miss Collins, I appreciate y'all. I know I've said it, Lou Jenkins, 1,000 times. Oh, speaks, but I mean it from the heart. And if I missed anybody, charge it to my head and not my heart. And until the next live, I bid you a farewell, peace and blessings, and I'll talk to y'all soon.